It's Kian Brown in New York, checking in with people that I love, admire, and respect. Today is no different. We've got Quddus. Quddus is a leadership coach. He's been on every network, MTV, CBS, NBC, ABC, all of that. And he's the new host and coach on Breakthrough with Q. What's up, Q?
Woo, feeling better after that intro. Man, I can hear that all day. I feel real accomplished over here.
Well, I'll send you my PayPal link because I can say it every day if you like.
That would make for a great alarm. A little bit self-indulgent, but nonetheless, very empowering.
Let's practice. Good morning, Q. It's time to get up and be on television and inspire the planet today. Are you ready? I said get up.
Well, that sounds like a lot of pressure. I think I'm going to go back to bed.
What's up, man? So where are you at in the planet?
I'm in Denver, Colorado right now.
Okay, well, you look like you got a fresh cut, so I know you're not in New York. So how is it in Denver?
Denver's nice. It's really beautiful. The weather's amazing. It fluctuates a lot, so one day it'll be really cold and snowing, and the next day it'll be warm and sunny. And so it's a little bit of a curveball that way. But besides that, it's really well handled. I'll put it that way. I think the local government's done a great job of keeping things with this whole COVID-19 relatively calm. Everybody's following guidelines for the most part. And I feel like it's a good place to be right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know that New York, our governor is acting as president right now. So, providing some leadership in the country and, how we can move. Hopefully, we're going to get out of here really soon. What has opened up for you, Breakthrough with Q? What breakthrough have you experienced during this time?
Well, acceptance has been huge because I had a lot of plans. I was actually just visiting Denver when the quarantine hit, and my plan was actually to move back to Brooklyn. And so when the quarantine hit, obviously there was a big decision to make, and it seemed like actually a pretty simple decision considering all the circumstances, but it was something that threw a curveball on my plans. And so just accepting that I'm going to be here in Denver and then being able to really embrace it, right? So actually going from acceptance to embracing has been a really powerful thing because there's been some moments in my life where I haven't necessarily embraced change when it wasn't something that I dictated. And so maybe you can relate at home when the curveball happens. It's like, hold on, what happened? And then I think a lot of us have a tendency to want to be able to control our circumstances. And when that doesn't happen, then we can kind of go into some form of shame or blame. And I feel like I've broken through the acceptance and really embracing it.
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 weeks of this, I found myself depressed. I didn't know that it was that. But I was working through some things with my dad and my grandma just passed away. So there's things that I've been kind of working through. And inside of that work, I figured out that first 2 weeks I was really low. But then, I had conversations with you and some other people, and it's like I had to snap out of it, or I had to get back on the ascent, and then got into action to do something like this. Let's use my resources, use my skills and talent, and let's make this time away or on pause powerful, instead of something that I'm limping out of, like, ooh, I barely made it out of COVID. No, I built businesses. I built relationships. I launched new careers. I did all of this during this time. So I definitely, it resonates with me, what you're saying.
That's incredible. That's a great way to turn pain into purpose, right? It's like, okay, we could easily just collapse into the pain of it or find some purpose in it. And it sounds like you've done that in a major way.
Yeah, man. Talk about Breakthrough. I want to hear more about Breakthrough with Q. What you got queued up, Q?
Well, it grew out of something I just wanted to do to support people through the pandemic. I wanted to extend my coaching practice to whoever needed the support on Instagram Live. And so that is something that went really well and people got some great results. And then some producers who were seeing this actually reached out to me to actually acquire that as a podcast and YouTube channel. So it's grown, and now it's going to have legs as a proper show. And it's funny even calling it a show because it's a real conversation I'm having with people. It's real coaching, real breakthroughs, and yet now it's going to be technically a show. So that's exciting. It's exciting.
Well, I think that's always great when you have a concept that is really the intention is pure. It's really about having one-on-one breakthroughs, and look how the world is thirsty for that, and how we can put it mainstream. And that's just the gifting and the power on your life, I think. I don't think everybody's going to have that, but you.
I felt very fortunate because I do realize how some people are losing their jobs, and a lot of different challenges are really seeming insurmountable. And so that's why I think Breakthrough with Q is going to be really important right now for all of us to be able to hear these coaching conversations and actually get some insight and inspiration to bring into our own lives. Because that's what's been happening. People have been getting breakthroughs just watching someone else have a breakthrough, because we're all interconnected dealing with the same human experience. And so it relates to all of us. And I'm also going to have celebrity friends of mine being interviewed about their biggest breakthrough in life, so to share the challenges that they've overcome and how they did that. So we'll see how we're all one, really. I mean, that's the thesis of this show. Underneath all of the programming will be the thesis that we're all dealing with the same experience. We just have it look a different way. And so it's really an honor to be a part of these conversations.
And aside of that, I'd love to hear from you. What character attribute have you honed in on, utilized more, discovered in yourself to have you in this place in your life?
I think the word discover just popped out from what you just said, because I feel like I had a pretty fixed mentality for a while there in my life. Like I was fixed on the impact that I make being through the media world. I thought that was going to be it. And then I discovered self-development when I had a nervous breakdown before hosting a show, realized I needed to do some deeper work. So I discovered that there's a whole nother way to make an impact in the self-development world. And of course, now I'm combining media and self-development. But for me, the biggest thing that I've honed is the ability to be in that discovery mindset and not be so fixed about things. So being flexible rather than fixed.
Yes, the discovery mindset. It reminds me of the time that I saw you on television. And we talked about this before, but you were interviewing Chris Brown. And this is a defining moment in even how I looked at you, and it made me reach back out to you from many, many years. It was, of course, during a really tough time in his life. And every interview that I saw with him was very accusatory, very just, I don't know, harsh, if you will. And then it was just refreshing to see kind of your flow, which now I know has come to be your thing, to really hold people at where they are and to allow them the space to learn and grow, even in the face of turmoil and frustration and chaos. Can you talk about that moment and what has come up from that?
Well, yeah, I remember that the assignment came to me and I thought, oh, Chris, okay, well, there's a lot of people that would want to villainize him and see him a certain way. And I think that was a moment where I decided to not approach it as a entertainment news journalist, but rather somebody who has made mistakes myself and who would want to be given a second chance and who has been given a second chance in many moments of my life. So I really wanted to approach it with compassion more than anything and curiosity about how he's doing. And so coming at it from more of a humanitarian lens than a sensationalistic, wanting to get the soundbite and the clickable thing, I really approached it from curiosity and compassion, and it seemed to make a difference with him, because by the end of the conversation, I saw his shoulders drop. I saw him breathing deeper and feeling like a human being again, and not feeling like somebody who was going to be defined by a mistake that he made in that Rihanna situation. And his publicist came up to me afterwards and said that was the best interview he's ever done. And I was just so glad that I managed to hit the reset button within myself for him. Because truly, I mean, we always have the opportunity to support people in any given conversation. I firmly believe that our biggest breakthrough is a conversation away. And I think that with Chris, it is incumbent on someone to look at him and say, am I going to be that person for this man or anybody else in my life? And I think we all have that capacity. We might not all be trained to be leadership coaches, but we all have the capacity to get curious and get compassionate with the people in our lives.
And I love that. I want to keep on, what a coach is and what a leader, a thought leader like yourself is, and your style of coaching. Because look, coaching is about being in the question and really allowing people that you're talking to really discover it on their own. And yes, you have some tools and you have some things that you're using to get them to make a better decision or to come to a realization. But how important is it to be with people where they are?
Well, that's the game, because I think a lot of coaches, we see what could be the solution within a couple sentences. Yeah. If we've done this for long enough, I've done this for 7 years, I've been able to train hundreds of people. So I oftentimes think I have the answer, and I often catch myself before I say how I think they should play this game. And instead I turn my statement to a question, and I actually get curious, because maybe, just maybe, I might not have their playbook and they might actually have the wisdom to be able to play the game the way they're meant to play it. Because I'm clear, I don't have all the answers. I oftentimes don't have all the answers in my own life, let alone for someone else.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the role of a coach is really to be a mirror, to be a clear mirror for the client to be able to see themselves and make a decision from a more informed, more aware place because of how we reflect back what we're hearing and the questions that we ask to be able to go deeper and expand their awareness. And I think that's it. We're not here to be the sages from the stage. I think we've got that confused in the coaching world. A lot of coaches
Mm.
are running around telling people what to do with their life. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really dangerous game because then people aren't actually empowered. They think they've got to go back to the guru to get the answer. And
Yeah.
that's the opposite of empowerment.
Yeah.
So if a client leaves a call for me and super empowered, does the thing that they really feel called to do and doesn't turn back and check for my approval, I know I've done my job.
Indeed. And also, what I get out of that is, teachers sometimes suffer with this and being the bearer of all information. And there's such a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful collaboration that comes with mentor, mentee, coach, coached. That dance is so beautiful. What's something that you've learned from a client that has supported you in your life?
Whew, man, I've learned so much from my clients. I feel like I've been the biggest beneficiary of our coaching relationship,
That's
ironically.
amazing.
I feel like the importance of being transparent and vulnerable is something that I can't be reminded enough of. As a recovering perfectionist, I see some of my clients really going out there, putting themselves out there. I remember when I was supporting Lewis Howes at the beginning of his School of Greatness ascent, and I remember him sharing about a situation where he was molested as a child, and he shared about it so powerfully, and it supported so many people who've been through a similar situation. I heard a stat like 1 out of 4 people go through some kind of sexual abuse, and so he had that experience and shared about it, and it was so empowering for so many people that were part of his audience, which at that point was not quite what it is now in the millions. And I just remember that was a big lesson for me because at the time I wasn't really revealing much of myself. I wasn't really going there myself. I was coaching others too, which is kind of a safe spot for a coach to be in. Of course, a lot of us get caught in that trap. But eventually I realized that that's a lesson for me to implement and integrate in my life. And then I went through divorce last year, and I had the opportunity to go a couple different ways with it. And I decided to share everything in a podcast interview. And that interview on Man Talks was the most feedback I've ever gotten from any media I've ever been a part of. That's including TRL and MTV. So that's a huge lesson for me, is that vulnerability really is a superpower because it
Indeed.
really creates connection. It creates a deeper understanding of each other in that. And it's so easy to just share our highlight reels and just try to look good and be right all the time. And then we don't really create the kind of connection that happens when we're both in the valley,
Yeah.
or one of us is at the peak, but we're looking at the valley and saying, I remember being in the valley and I get it, you know?
Yeah, that depth is missing, I think, in a lot of places in our planet. The surface level is nice and fluffy and safe. The depth is where I believe the power and the breakthrough really comes in. Well,
Yeah. I think there's like this level of connection that can happen. I call it like inspiration, right? And then underneath inspiration is where transformation happens, where it's like core level stuff that we're all going through. And when I share stuff that's a core level hurt or pain or issue that I'm going through, chances are it's going to relate to somebody else. And that's a bond. I mean, I have people now that are advocates for me that used to just be passive fans because of what they heard in that interview. So it's a powerful lesson for sure. It's the thing that we are most ashamed of. That's often the thing that's going to be most impactful to share. And we'll liberate ourselves from the shame in the process because we realize that most people have actually nothing but compassion for us and probably been through something similar themselves if they really go there in their own compassion. So it's powerful, man. The power of sharing, really.
breakthrough with Q. Thank you for the time, brother. This is Quddus. He's a multifaceted trainer and coach and personality and presenter and on and on and on. Amazing cat that everybody loves. Thank you for all the work that you do and always being willing and open and available. It says something about your character. Thank you for your contribution, brother.
Thank you, KB. Love what you're doing too.